All right. Welcome back. Let's see. Yeah, so we are quickly reaching the end of our semester. So we're meeting this week, still talking about the project. I am still demoing various aspects and features and skills that I hope you find useful for your own project. And you should all be working on the project together with your teammates, as well as completing assignment 6. And so it'll be due a week from this Sunday, so on the 10th, right? And the intention is for you to demo your projects starting on the week of the 11th, right? So that Monday the 11th, we'll get started grading the projects by you demoing the project to TAs and myself for about an hour, and between Monday and Thursday. So there'll be 4 days where all the students will get a chance to demo their work. The TAs are going to share a spreadsheet where the teams can register for the demos, right? And so you'll meet your TA. I think you can choose the TA and the day, and then meet during that time slot, over Zoom, so that you have a chance to demo all the great work that you've been doing throughout the semester. And so the TA is, it's just going to go over the requirements of the project, and you'll ask you to log in and create accounts, and modify your account and do a search of your third-party API, display results, right? And by the end of that session, you should get a grade at the end. So hopefully we'll be able to resolve the grading of the project right there and then. If something unexpected happens, or some catastrophic failure or something, the server goes down, I don't know, whatever, we could reschedule you maybe perhaps a little later in the week, but hopefully we'll be done on that day. You are welcome to keep working, even though it's due on the 10th, December 10th. You're welcome to keep working beyond the due date, up until the moment that your actual demo, right? So some teams will be graded before others, right? So perhaps some teams will get a little more time than others, but it's really, it's first come, first serve on the time slot that you can grab, right, for your project demo. And so obviously later time slots are going to be filled in before the earlier ones. So make sure you grab a time slot that works for you. Just be careful if you work all the way up to the demo, that you don't break something right before the demo, right? If you intend to do that, make sure that you have a working version, right? That it's guaranteed to work, that you have something to show during the demo. If for some reason there's some catastrophic failure. So anyway, also the week of the 11th, that will be the final exam. Will be posted, will be made available on the 11th, and it'll be available for 3 or 4 days, right? And so you can choose to take it anytime within that time frame. It's asynchronous, so you can take it anytime you want between those time slots. The date here for the December 15th, that's for the undergrads. Undergrads need to take the exam in person at 10:30 a.m. on that particular day, right? And so we'll all meet together that day for the undergraduate exam. I guess I should say that this is for undergrads final exam. I guess I should say graduate final exam. 12, 11 through 12, 11, 12, 13, 14th. Okay. What else? I think that's it. I do have to have grades by the 18th, December 18th. So that week of the 11th is going to be a very, very busy week as we wrap up and make sure that all the grades are done. So yeah, so the trace evaluations for the course are now available. And so if please, especially if you enjoyed the course, if you could take a moment to evaluate the course. If we get enough students that evaluate the course, I'll give everybody some extra points. Maybe I think I can't give more than just 1 point. I'll give everybody an extra point, right? If enough students grade or fill out their trace evaluations. Okay, so please, whenever you have a chance, please go and fill out the trace evaluation for this course. Okay. All right. Let's see what else. Any questions? Let's see. Can we demo a project from local? So that's always a possibility, and so you will lose a few points if you don't demo it remotely. So you won't get 100, right? So you lose some points if you have to demo it locally. But the intent is that this is definitely demoed remotely using Netlify and Heroku or whatever remote server. So yeah, you lose a few points if you don't demo remotely. Not that much, but there'll be a few points that you lose. All right. Yeah. So we've been discussing a lot of the skill sets, right, for connecting to a database, retrieving data from a database, and logging in and maintaining a session. And so I wanted to just keep working towards those skills and giving you additional examples of using those skills. So you get to see a lot of various use cases, right, for the same types of skills. Oftentimes one of the challenges of learning a new technology or learning new skills is that we don't quite often understand the broad applicability of the skills, right? That we often consider these skills to be narrow-minded, or that for that specific problem that we're trying to solve. But I think that as you see more and more examples of using these skills, right, applied in various contexts, I think it gives you a broader understanding, right, that of all the different possibilities, right, that gives you some self-confidence, right, that that you should feel that you can solve anything, right, that you know enough and you feel confident enough of these skills that hey, throw at me any problem, I can definitely get at it and solve it. I can build anything, right? So I hope that's the message that you're getting from this course, right? That yes, I can connect to a database and store data and retrieve it and do whatever relationships, any type of relationships. Yes, I can create all sorts of integrations through a network system of resources that are geographically located in various parts of the world, and I can, as long as I know the IP address, the port, right, I have the authentication, I can connect to and integrate all these resources into a cohesive application that does some work, right, and as well as also a front end, right, that a user can use to interact with the application. So I'm just going to keep going, unless you have a very specific problem that you might want to go over in general, not anything specific to your project, but something in general that you wanted to discuss. Please feel free to to interrupt me, right? If you have any particular specific doubt about the technology in general, but after the lecture, I'll have a few minutes that we can discuss perhaps particular problems that or challenges that you're having with your own project. Okay. All right. All right. Yeah. So let's see. There's a question on the chat. Can you show us how to set environment variables for different branches in Netlify? I don't know that I know that. Let's see. I believe you can. That's not what I meant. Netlify. There we go. So is this the latest one? And I have deploys and domain management, set configuration, deploy settings. And so presumably you would have multiple deploys, right? So if you have, I want to deploy all the branches, right? So you might have multiple branches. And then each branch, I'm guessing you're saying that each branch perhaps should have the different environment variables, right? So if you go environment variables, I do believe they support multiple environments. So no environment variables set. Okay, so if I add an environment variable, and okay, so this says all scopes. So apparently you can have several scopes, right? Okay, all scopes. So say DB URL, say, right? And you get some value. You save it, create the variable. And then so any scope, builds, functions, runtime. Okay, no, that's not what I meant. Context, production, deploy, previous, branch deploys. Okay, any context, branch deploys. And all scopes. And you just have that. Okay, there we go. Right. So production. Oh, okay. So these are not by branch. These are not by branch. Edit, context, branch deploys, production, branch deploys. Local development, branch deploys. And what's this? Copied. No, that's just copied. Yeah, I'm not quite sure. Yeah, I don't know that you can set the environment variables per branch. Although I don't know that you would want to. I mean, the values you might want to have different per environment, right? Like for instance, if you have a production environment, you have a test environment, right? You have a performance testing environment, right? QA environment, deploy environment. So these would have they would have the same variable, right? But different values, right? So that is what you might want to use them for, but not per branch, right? Yeah, I've never heard that. The different environment variables per branch, per environment, yes, right? Where you have a production environment, you have a QA environment, things like that. Those would have different environment variables. Since we have A5 and set A5 server URL, now we have A6 and we need to set a new server for it. A new server. A new server. But A5 doesn't even use A5 doesn't even use environment variables. No? Does A5 use environment variables? So A5. Oh, you mean when you, yeah. But are the environment variables the same value? Do they have the same value? Actually, are they called the same, right? So if you have React app, and this one has React app API base, right? And then, so that's the only one, right? Let me see, React app, you have that one, API base. Okay. All right. And then the other assignments, the assignment 6 also has a React app, right? Find React app. Oh, okay. So it has the same name, right? It has the same name. And this one also has the same name. API base, and this is APIs. Oh no, they don't have the same name. See that? They don't have the same name. So it's okay to have two. This one would be used in A5, right? And this one would be used, it's different, see that? For A6. They're different names. Right? And they're used for different things, right? So you could have them side by side. Both of them declared, right? So A5 would be using one and A6 would be using another one. Yeah, you can give so again, branches are only for your convenience, right? And so any naming that you want to use, right, to keep track for the various versions of the application, including these environment variables, please, rename them any way you want, right? That might be useful. If you want to say, React app base API underscore A5, right? Or underscore A6, right? Certainly you can do that. Okay. All right. Yeah, so let's so we had a little bit abandoned our Canvas application, right? We never added the capability of being able to log in to Canvas. As well, not able to, we kind of abandoned the fact that we were creating courses and modules and all this, and so where typically these courses and modules would exist within the context of some author, right? Some faculty that identifies themselves and says, well, I'm Jose Annunziato, these are my courses, right? And I am now the author of those courses. If I log in as someone else, then I would be a different faculty, right? And then I would be able to create content, right, for those courses, right? So let's revisit some of those topics that we had started discussing all throughout the semester, and then kind of at the end we moved in a different direction, right? So let's see. Although the last assignment gave you the choice if you wanted to include or implement the login for the Canvas, right, or for your project, right? So let's revisit that. I'm going to add the login capability to Canvas, right? And once you log in Canvas, we'll be able to create content that is tied to the identity of the person who is logged in, right? So if I create a course, it'll be Jose's course. If I log in as Alice, it'll be Alice's course, and so on and so forth, right? And same thing for modules. If I add a module, these modules would be created within the context of a course, right? So that too, how do we create that relationship? Okay. All right, so let's see how far we had gotten with Canvas. Okay, so let's see. So here's the node server. And let's nodemon app. Okay, so we have the server running. And on the client, we can say npm start. Excuse me. So in Canvas, let's see. Yeah, so this is the dashboard. Notice that it's not even asking me to log in, right? So these courses are kind of like orphan courses. They don't belong to anyone in particular. So I would really like to be able to first sign in, right? And or even not even allow me to come in here unless I am signed in, right? So it would immediately send me to a sign-in screen. So for instance, if I go to the real Canvas, right, and I log out, actually, how do I log out? Like for instance, if I go to Canvas, the first thing that it is that we go to an authentication screen, right? Once we authenticate, then right, it takes us to the correct place, right? So yeah, so let's try and do that first, right? So here I have my current Canvas. It's not challenging me, right? It's not letting me, it's letting me go anywhere I want, right? So how would we do that, right? We would want to kind of like protect everything except maybe the login screen, right? So that if we're not logged in, we can't see anything at all, right? We can't see anything at all until you log in, right? So yeah, let's do that. So let's create a simple sign-in screen for Canvas. So let's see, under Canvas, let's implement a little sign-in screen. So sign in. Where we can navigate for us to be able to identify ourselves, right? So we'll say function sign in, very similar to what we already have, right? Export, and we should be able to navigate there, right? We're going to add sign in. And so this is going to allow me to go to sign in. So I'm going to map the sign in screen to that URL, right? So in here, we're going to include the new sign in screen there. Sign in. There we go. So this is going to be the place that I sign in, right? So yeah. So actually, this will go to my new sign in screen, right? And so let's implement it real quick. So I'm going to provide the credentials, right? So this would be const, and this is credentials, right? And it's going to have a username and password. Okay. And close that. Okay. And then I'll provide the form here for us to fill out, right? Input placeholder username, and the value is going to be the credentials dot username, and so as we type on change, right, we're going to take the value of the events, right? We're going to set the credentials. So we say, set credentials to be whatever the credentials were initially, right? And I'm going to just provide the username with the e.target.value. Okay. All right. So I need to import a few things here. And username, credentials, wait, what? Line 5. Okay, username is empty and password is empty at first. Okay. And we might want to paint this a little bit. Class form control. All right. And maybe this we can class, we can make it a little bit bigger. And this is container. So it has a little bit of space around it. We have the username, so we could also do the same thing for the password. So this is the password. There we go. And maybe a button so we can submit it. All right. Yeah, so let's do that. We'll need the client. This is going to be, we're going to use the same client that we created for the project. So I'm just going to go in here, right, and just use the same exact client, but I'm using it from Canvas, right? And so let's also as we sign in, we should store this in a reducer, right? So let's do that, right? We'll need a reducer to store when we log in, right? So but first let's see if we can do that. We go to we're going to log in, right? So const login. I'll need the client. Let's import the client. So import. Yeah, we'll probably need to use navigate as well. So import, I'll create the client. So as client from, well, I'm going to have to go up one, right? Let's see, where am I? I'm going to sign in. So I'm going to go to source. I'm going to go down to the project. Then the users, and then there's a client in there. So that client has all sorts of goodies, right? And we can say client, we'll do this an await here, or async. And this will be an await. We'll do const user await sign in. I think I called it, no, sign in. And sign in is waiting for the credentials, which we're going to send over. We're going to post it. And that presumably is going to log us in, right? And if this works, right, if this is okay, right, if this is, do a try. If this works out, right, I'm just going to navigate, do right, grab the navigator. We'll say const navigate, and we're going to navigate to Canvas dashboard. Okay, and then we can choose the course that we want. Catch error, console error. There we go. All right. And that we're gonna click on that on a button that is going to log us in. Sign in. There we go. Okay. Something like that. But right, like we did yesterday, we should have a reducer to keep track of all these things, right? So since we already implemented that in the project, I'm just going to reuse that here. I'm not going to reinvent the wheel here, right? So in the top level of my canvas, I'm not sure if we had, yeah, we hadn't added a reducer or any provider. So I'm just going to load the reducer and provider that we had created in the for the project. I'm just going to reuse that for my canvas application, right? There's no need to reinvent that. So we're going to load up that store. I implemented it from, let's see, projects store, was it? Is that? Yeah. Okay. And we'll bring in the provider. And I'm just going to provide it to the whole application. So provided store, blah, blah, blah. And here. Okay. So when I log in my sign in screen, this is the user, and that's going to be my current user now, right? So I'm going to dispatch this to the reducer so that the reducer can keep track of who I just logged in. So import set current user, and we'll need the dispatcher. So we'll need the yeah, use dispatch. Let's create it here. So const dispatch. And here we are going to dispatch set the current user. So now it's in a reducer that's now available in my entire Canvas application. Okay. And then once I log in, it goes to the dashboard, right? So to make sure that this is working in our dashboard, let's make sure that we can retrieve the current user, right? And we can show him here just to know, because these courses, right? All these courses are coming from the server, right? But it should actually be coming from the database, right? These are all hard-coded courses that live on the server that should be coming from the database, right? Not from the array in the server, right? But these courses would have to be for the currently logged in user. So I need to know who the currently logged in user is, right? So let's retrieve the current user. So current user, I don't know if that's what I called the reducer. I called it in the store, what I call it. I forget what I called it. So in the store, what did I call the reducer? Okay, I called it user reducer, right? So in the dashboard, this is user reducer. Oh, user reducer. Is that what I called it? Yeah, user reducer. All right, so now I have the current user, and just to make sure that I am getting the user, I'm just going to display them. I'll say there we go. I need to import the use selector. So let me log in. I'll go and log in as Alice. Sign in. There it is. Welcome, Alice. So I know I'm logged in. I have Alice there. So all these courses that are listed here really should be the courses that Alice has created, right? None of these, right? These are not courses that she has created. These are just hard-coded courses, right? That I think they're in an array, right? On the server. There should really be courses that come from the database, which, because Alice is a new faculty, she hasn't created any courses, right? So it would come back as empty, which is fine. Container. So yeah, so I am logged in, but notice that if I refresh, right? If I refresh, the user goes away, right? Because I'm not logged in, right? So I would need to use the technique we used earlier, right? In the projects that allowed us to retrieve the current user, right? fetch current user, blah, 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 right? That would allow me to survive the refresh, right? So I'm going to do the same thing for the dashboard, for our canvas. I'm going to bring in my current user component here, right? I'm just going to just wrap this to make sure that if I refresh, it's always going to pick up the current user. Yeah. Also, I shouldn't be able to come to any of these screens unless I am signed in, right? Just like right, if I go to Canvas without logging in, the first thing that I see is the sign-in screen. I can't go anywhere, right? Even if I knew the URL, right, Northeastern instructor, blah, 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 it would not let me unless I first log in, right? So I want to do the same thing for us, right? So notice that if I sign out, I still can go to courses, I can go to accounts. I shouldn't be able to do any of that, right? So we did deal with that, right? We created a protected, did we? I thought we did we? Profile. The index. I guess we didn't. Okay, we didn't. It's fine. We created. So we want to create a protected route, right? Saying that I can wrap around certain pieces, right? That unless you are logged in, then I'm going to let you navigate there. Otherwise, I'm not going to let you navigate there, right? So let's do that. So what we're going to do is in Canvas, right, we can create a protected route. So this would be a protected route. So what we're going to do is that we're going to wrap this anywhere where we don't want folks to navigate, right? We're going to wrap it around here so that they'll not have to go there instead, right? So function protected route, right? And so we'll use the children and say, well, I am going to render the children only if you're logged in, right? So first I'm going to retrieve the current user from the reducer, right? And if there is a current user, then I render the children. Otherwise, I'm going to kick you out to sign in, right? And sign in, this would be, I want to navigate to the canvas, right? Canvas, let's see, it would be /canvas sign in. I want to navigate here, like that. Right, so protected route, this is what I want to navigate to the /canvas /sign in. So let's export this, and we'll need to import the navigate, also the use selector. Okay. So now we can go back and take a look at our routes, right, in Canvas and say, well, you shouldn't even be able to go anywhere, right? You can't go to the account. So I'm going to wrap this inside a protected route, right? So I'll wrap this. So now I can't go to account. So for instance, if I click on account, it's letting me go. Wait, what? No. Oh, because I'm logged in. I am logged in. I am logged in. But if I restart my server, so say I'm in a dashboard, right? And so if I restart my server, so I can log out and restart. So now I'm not logged in. So if I go to account, that should have taken me to sign in. Let's see what's going on. Console, each child, okay, that's that. Can I save this? I did, right? So account, navigate, It's protected route. Did I implement it correctly? So user, blah, 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 use selector, state reducer, blah, blah, blah. If I have current user, then return children, otherwise return navigate to canvas sign. Yeah, that looks right. All right, so let's debug this real quick. So source, let's put this here. In the let's see. So this is account, right? And we should be able to see the protected route here. There it is. So if I refresh, okay, so it's coming to the protected route. Current user. Okay, there is no current user, so it should navigate to Canvas sign in. Canvas sign in. Current user. Yeah, it's empty. Yeah. All right, so it went to sign in. Oh, interesting. So dashboard's not protected, but account is protected. So it should kick me out to sign in. Oh, now it's working. First you embarrass me. Let's see, account. Okay, now it's working. I don't know what happened. Maybe I needed to restart the server, whatever. Right, so, but if I do sign in, that's Alice. I sign in, and now I can go to the account because I'm signed in. Everybody good? Okay. Yeah, so one thing that the account at least should have is to allow me to log out. But I think we have the basics, right? That we can protect things if we're not logged in, right? So let's protect everything. Let's protect the dashboard, since that's the default, right? Oops. And we can protect the courses. We can protect the calendar. Well, let's not protect the calendar. So okay, so I am logged in, so it's letting me go to all these places. But if I stop the server and I restart, it should not remember that I'm logged in, right? So this should kick me out to sign in. So if I try to go to dashboard, accounts, right, courses. Actually, I thought I protected courses. Did I not? I did. Oh, this is courses, course ID. Why is it letting me go to courses and it's not kicking me out? Courses. All right, let's step through this again. Oh, it's not even calling it. Oh, interesting. Why are you not calling it? Courses, element, protected routes, courses. I'm not logged in, am I? Okay, so that one's protected. Dashboard is also protected. And courses is not? Interesting. All right, I'll have to check to see why that one isn't working. All right, whatever. So yeah, so we are logged in, right? And we can go to different places. So let's go to Alice. And it goes to the dashboard. Let's check to see, and hopefully I am logged in. I have a user, so it's going to let me render that content. Okay, perfect. So instead of having these courses, ideally, I would retrieve the courses by Alice. Right, this is a chat question. What is the syntax you use about children? You don't need to specify children equals, but just wrap it. You don't need to specify children. So children is a standard name that references whatever you have in the body, right? So whatever's in the body gets passed to the component as the name of the children. That's it, right? It's a standard name You don't have to specify an attribute. So usually you can pass attributes here, right? You can pass attributes by providing an attribute here, right? So show equal true or something, right? And then in here you can retrieve show right there like that, right? But children is a special name of an attribute, right? That you should not use. Or you should only use it for the purposes of interacting with the body of the element. No, it has to be called children. Yeah, children is kind of like a reserved variable name. It means the body of the element. Yep. Okay. So instead of displaying these generic courses, right? Really, we should have the courses by Alice, right? So let's do that, right? So this is going out in the network. It's going out to just courses right there, right? So, but it should not be retrieving the courses, the hard-coded courses in the arrays. You should be retrieving the courses by Alice, right? So let's do that. So on the server, we have the routes for the courses, and currently, right, if we're asking for the courses here, slash courses, we're just retrieving all the courses. Get courses here, right? We're just retrieving the database courses, right? We never implemented anything for the databases for the courses, right? So let's implement that. So let's do that. We'll have a new file. We'll need schema for the courses, right? Schema.js. So this will be, import mongoose, right? And we'll const create a schema, mongoose schema. That will have the name of the course, the number of the course, also string, I think. Description of the course. We do have in the database some example courses. We have ID, name, the number of the start date and end date. So let's have those two. So start date, these are dates, end date. And these will be stored in a collection called courses. Okay. And we'll export this. Export false schema. Then we create the model, and this will be import mongoose, and we'll import this schema from schema.js, and we'll create the model. Course says I'll keep the same name as the collection, and then we're going to export. So export default model. Yeah, and finally the DAO. So this is a DAO. We'll import the model. So import model from model, and we'll implement things such as we'll do export const find courses by user, right? And then we'll provide an argument as the user. So we'll have the user ID. And so it will do model.find, and then presumably this will be the author, right? The author. Okay, so how do we want to do this, right? Should the course just know who the author is. So that would be one of the simplest things, right? That the course has a single author, right? And it just knows who the author is, right? And we have the ID of the person who authored the course, right? So yeah, let's do that. I think that'd be the easiest thing to do. So we'll do author, right? Will be an object ID that references the users, right? And so we can filter by that, right? We have author. Okay, there we go. Yeah, that's it, right? And so we'll do that for now. We'll do that for now. Oh, we also need to create, right? So we'll say, export const, create course by author. I think that I like that name better, by author. Create course by author. So we have the author course and so we are going to give the course object, right? We're going to have the title, we're going to have all that. And then the author ID that we're passing as an argument, and that's going to be the insert. Okay. All right, and then in the route, the retrieving the course, this will be the courses by the author, and the author will be the person who's currently logged in, current user, right? So this will be const, current user, right? That's in the session, right? So that would be, const current. So author basically is the request session dot current user, right? Okay, so that's the ID. That's the ID. And then we would use not this database. We won't use this database. We will use the actual database. So we'll do import star as DAO from DAO. And the courses will be, so this will be async. So this will be async. And this will be await DAO 5 courses by author. We'll pass the author, and then we'll just return the courses. Perfect, right? Also, we want to be able to create the course, right? So here's the course comes in, we pass in the course. We're not going to use the new ID here because that's going to be created by, actually, yeah, we don't need this, right? So we don't need this either. None of this, right? So what do we do? We're going to say const. So this is going to be async first, async, because we're talking to the database. So a new course, right, is going to be await. There we go. Await DAO create course by author. Who the author is? The currently logged in user, right? So author, and then in the body, we're going to pass in, the description of the course, or the title, and all that, right? And the ID is going to be created by the server, by the database. And the author is just the person who's currently logged in, current user ID. And then we return the new course. All right, so let's try these. So we did change this on the server. Now we need to change this on the client. On the client, the dashboard, right? The dashboard had fetch the courses, and this would be fetch the courses by the author, right? So none of these really work, right? So fetch course is probably the only one that we already rewrote on the server. And the way it works, the fetch courses, this needs to use the Axios version that uses the cookie, right? This one by default doesn't use cookies. And we weren't using cookies in the previous implementation, but this time we are. And we need to remember that we're logged in, right? So let's create a client version of this, Axios create, that turns on. Okay, that's the API. Okay, and we want with credentials true. Close that. So now this client, we would rewrite this as client, excuse me. And we're hitting API. So this is already there. So just that courses/courses. So that's going to retrieve the courses of the currently logged in user. So it's going to come back as empty, right? Because we don't have any courses, right? So if we let's see, dashboard, I'm not logged in, probably. Let's see. Oh, the server might have stopped. So this is server. Is it running? Oh, so it looks like we crashed somewhere. Course ID, current user, blah, 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 blah. Right, this assumes that I'm logged in, right? That I'm doing the sign in. Okay, it's going out to account. Right, because the server is dead. I need to save it and so it'll restart. Okay, restart it. Okay, now we should be able to sign in. Nobody signed in. So if I do sign in, it's going to go to the dashboard. It's going to fetch the courses. It doesn't find any, right? Because I haven't created any. So notice the courses comes back as empty. The response is empty. There are no courses for Alice, right? So let's create a couple courses. Let's see. So the on the client, we are going to create courses. So this is what we had originally, add course. But this time around, we need to use the client version, right? That uses the cookie that remembers that I am logged in, right? And so, and I'm going to go to courses like that. And I'm going to send the course object. I don't remember what that course object had. I believe it was just the, we were editing only the title, I think. Placeholder, oh, the name of the course, only the name of the course. Okay, so no title, no nothing, right? Yeah, the name of the course. Okay, all right, so maybe it'll work. Let's see. So course CS1234. So add. Okay. All right, so courses went out. I sent it. Looks like it created it. The author is there, right? The author is there. Name CS1 of them. All right, so the real trial that this works is that if I refresh, I am logged in. I know that's Alice. It went out to the courses, right? And it's retrieving the array of courses that I created, right? So yeah, looks like it's working, right? And in the database, we should see this new course that we just created, right? We go to courses. There it is, right? CS1234. Perfect. Created by Alice. Okay. And this is CS 234. I can create a few. CS 345, add. Okay. All right, so Alice has created several courses. All right, makes sense? Everyone's still good? All right. So now if I navigate to these courses, there won't be any modules, right? So if I navigate here, it says 500. Let's see what it failed. Let's see. So this is presumably going out to get that particular course. So that's failing because we never implemented that. I mean, we probably did, but it's using the old implementation of the arrays, right? So let's do that. Let's go back and redo that. So first on the client, we are retrieving fetch course. There it is, fetch course. So we need to use the client because we need to remember who's logged in, right? And so this would be courses. I'm passing the ID of the course, right? And that is going to go out to the server, and the server in the routes, I believe it's this one, gets, okay, there it is. It must be this one, right? All right, so get the parameters, okay, not from this database, right? Not from this database. Instead, we are going to need in the DAO, we never implemented it. We need to find, right? Export, find course by their ID. Perfect, by ID, excellent. And so now we can use this and say, const course is find course by ID, and this needs to be an async. Async, like that. Okay. Yeah, all right, so that should work. Let's try it out. If I refresh, okay, I'm not signed in, so it's kicking me out, right? That's good. Alice, sign in, and let's go to the course. Let's see. Okay, that worked, right? So there's the course CS1234. Perfect, right? And we don't have any modules for this course. We don't have any modules, which is fine. Right? Yeah. So what else? So all these modules would have to be for that particular course, right? But before we do that, let's sign in as someone else, right? So we were signed in as Alice. Let's sign in as Bob. And do we have Bob in here? So we have users. Do we have Bob? Bob. I guess not. Let me create Bob real quick. I thought we had Bob. No. Bob. 1, 2, 3. Oops. Update. Okay. So let's log in as Bob. So if I go Bob 1, 2, 3, Bob doesn't have any courses, right? This makes sense. So if Bob creates a couple of courses, CS 101, and add the course. So this is Bob's courses. But if I sign in as Alice, I have Alice's courses, which is perfect, right? That each one now has its own place to work with, right? Each one has its own place to create their own courses and author them, right? So when I navigate to a course, same thing. These modules would be created within the context of the course that is currently selected, right? Not necessarily of whether you're logged in or not, right? The being logged in was the first step of identifying, right, whose courses am I showing, right? And then you can navigate to those courses, right? And then you can create more information about those courses. Okay? So anyway, so yeah, so we need to be able to add a course, a module for that course, right? And I believe we had created that, maybe. Let's see. So the modules, let's see. We had created a client, yeah, add module, perfect, yeah. Add module, which posted. So same thing, we need to use a version of Axios that remembers the cookies, right? So let's do const client Axios, base URL client, perfect, okay. So adding a new module, I'm going to use a new version of the client. I'm going to post, and the URL it's based on that. So this will be something like yada, yada, yada. I guess courses. Oh, okay. So we're using 2 URLs. Okay. That's fine. We can say API, then this is courses. Courses, blah, 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 course ID. I'm creating a new module in that course. Now for that module, what am I providing? I forget. Let's see. I think I'm creating it here. No. Add module. Course, blah, blah, blah. Add module, yada, yada, yada. Course ID. Add module. Okay, I'm not passing anything. I'm just passing the module name, target, the name. All right, yes. Okay, so I'm going to create the module. for that course, right? And right now, I don't believe I have any modules, do I? Okay, there's no modules. And so how we need on the server, we need the same thing we did for the course, right? But now for the module. All right, so let's do that. Let's go back to the server. So we have courses and we had modules. Let's implement the database part of this, right? So let's create the schema first. And what do the modules look like? Modules look like name, description, courses, lessons, right? So name, description, and so this is like a foreign key. So I'm just going to do name and description, and course will be a foreign key that points to the ID of the parent course. Okay, so we'll do that. So name, description, and course. Perfect. So we'll import Mongoose, right? And then we'll create the schema. So we'll have the name. What was it? Name, description. So description, description, string, and course. So course will be an object ID pointing to the courses, right? And this is going to be stored in a collection called modules, right? And we're going to export this. Perfect. Right. So let's now create the model. So model. So hopefully you're seeing that there's a pattern to this, right? That you can create these schemas, these modules, right? And there's very distinct assets, right, that you need to declare, right? And as you identify these patterns, right, it should become easier and easier, to do it again, right? So let's import Mongoose again, right? And we'll import the schema. We'll create the model. Modules, perfect. We'll export it. Excellent. And here we have the route. The first one we're going to do is to create the module, right? So there's this post, course ID, yada yada yada. We don't need any of this, right? So, oh wait, first we need to DAO. We need the DAO, so we'll do the DAO. So DAO, talking about patterns, right? And so let's import the model. JS, and we'll create we want to implement this, right? The add module. So this will be const, or wait, so export const create module for course, right? And so we'll pass in the module and the course. And so we'll create the module. We'll copy all the data that you pass to me, which will be the name of the module, right? The description of the module. I'm not going to pass you the course. I am going to pass you the course as a separate, that will be the ID of the parent course, right? So create the module, but then I also want to retrieve it, right? I also want to retrieve it. So I'll need a const find modules for course, and I'll populate the course so I can know the title. Do I really know I need to do that? Probably not. I don't think I need to populate. Okay. Yeah. So we'll do that. And then we can go back to our routes and re-implement some of these. Right. So I'm going to post. So the module is in the body. Basically, that's all we need, right? We're not going to store it in here, so we don't really need that either. We just need to convert this to be async, right? Because we're talking to a database now. And we'll need the DAO here. Let's bring the DAO. So import star as DAO. And then we can use that's the course ID, right? And new module, DAO create module, that's the course ID, and then the request body. Perfect. That's the new module, and we'll return that. I also need to retrieve the modules for a course, which is, I believe it's this one. So the course modules, okay, so this is async. That's the course ID. I'm not going to use the old database. Instead, I'm going to use modules DAO find modules for course. And which these two we just implemented. This one is that one, and the create is that one, right? That one. Okay. Yes, with those two, we should be able to create modules, display modules, right, for that course. So let's see. So on the client side, I think we're done, right? Oh no, we need this too, right? We added this one. Client post, blah 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 blah. We also need to do this one, right? So this one would be client, and this would be slash courses, right? Course ID. I want the module. So one creates them, the other one retrieves them, right? Okay. So let's see. Let's see if this blows up. If I try to refresh this should kick me out to sign in because I'm not signed in. Perfect. Yep. Let's sign in as Alice. Sign in. Okay, so these are my courses. If I go to my first one, I should see in the network. Interesting. Why is this not? I refresh. Okay, this should be trying to retrieve the modules for that course, and it should be coming back as empty. Yeah, there are no modules for that course. Perfect. What's this? What is this? Okay, this is retrieving the course. This is retrieving the course, right? So it can be rendered up here. And these are the modules for that course, which are empty. And I'm going to try and create one, right? So I'm going to do clear. And so this is module 1. So module, or maybe this is week 1. And let's do add. Okay. Let's see. There's module. Okay, week 1 module looks right. How about week 2? So I have several of these, 3. If I refresh, it is indeed retrieving the modules for this course, like that. There it is, right? And we should see in the database, we should see if we refresh that we have those 3 courses created for, these 3 modules created for that course. See that? So this is another example of just having the reference of these 3 objects sharing the same parent, right? In this case, they're all sharing the same course. They're all children of the same course, right? And this is a very classical example of a one-to-many relationship, right? There's one course that has many modules, right? And the relationship between the author and the course is also a one-to-many. One author has authors many courses, and then each course has many modules, right? Whereas if you were a student and you were enrolled, you would have several sections of the same course, right? And then a student can enroll in multiple sections, right? So sections, right, or enrollment. The enrollment would be an example of a many-to-many relationship, right, where one student is enrolled in many sections, but then each section has many students enrolled in it, right? And so the enrollment relationship would keep track, right, of who's enrolled where, right? It would have a reference to a user or a student, right, and then a reference to the section that they're enrolled in, right? That makes sense. So yeah. So let's play around with that, right? Let's play around where we have multiple sections for a course, right? So let's do that. So say let's add here a link to sections for that course, right? So let's see. So here we have on the server, right? We can keep track of sections. So we'll have sections. So sections and sections. Let's create the schema for this schema, and schema will have import mongoose, right? And we'll do const schema, and this will be the name of the section. Then name of the section or the section name, section number. I don't know. Is it section name? Or number, section number. I don't know. Whatever. And so we'll have a reference to the course to which section this is, right? And a course can have many sections, right? So we have we can have a course will be a reference to the course that this section belongs to, right? And so then and then we can store this in a collection called sections, all right? And we export the schema. Then we within that schema, we need the model, right? So we have the import mongoose. Then we import the schema and the model sections. Perfect. Let's create the DAO. So this is the DAO. And so let's import the model. Right. And the kind of operations we want to do is create a section for a course, not a module, right? Section for course. Right. And this is and we'll call this the course, right? And so we're going to insert the section. Section includes the number of the section or the name of the section, right? And the course that it belongs to. Also, I want to be able to, let's see, retrieve, giving a course, what are the sections in that course, right? So export cons find sections for course, right? Course, yeah, there we go. I think that's it, right? And then we need a route, right, where we have here routes. We import the star as DAO from DAO, and we create section for course. I don't know why it's saying modules. Section for course. Actually, this is a this is a route, right? So we need to put it inside of a function, and this is section routes, right? We'll have app like that, and so create section. We'll have the course I'm going to pass you as an ID. The section will be embedded in the body with the name, right? We'll create the section, create section for the course, right? And this is going to be an async, so async. So that means that this is cons section or new section. And this is an await, right? So we don't have to use this older syntax. And then we just send back the section, right? And there's no export here. We also want to be able to retrieve the sections given the course. I'll pass you the course as an ID. I'll fetch them from the database, and I'll return all the sections. Perfect, right? Then we can do a post to create the section, and a get for retrieve. So get, post, I'll give you the course ID, and I'm posting a new section. Or I'm retrieving given the course ID and retrieve the sections. Perfect. And then the sections route, and we declare this in app as a new route, right? So we'll say import section routes, and then we just give it an app. Perfect. So now we should be able to create sections and retrieve the sections from that table. Now back here, right? What we can do here is a new folder here called sections, right? And I want the list of sections. So it's a list of sections, right? And so function section lists, right? And this and for now, I just want to see we can navigate even there. I will need a navigator. Will the course navigation, we'll add a section here. So sections. And we'll need a placeholder for rendering in the courses here, right? So we'll say that route for sections will render sections, the new sections components. So sections, section lists. There we go. Okay. And here I am logged in. If I click on sections, this should, given the course, I should be able to display the sections for that course, and I can create new sections for that course. Okay. So yeah, so in section list, I would want to go fetch the courses, the sections for this course, right? So the same operations we declared here in the routes, these would need to be implemented in the client as well, right? So here, let's create a client, right? So there's a client, so we can talk to a server. And this one, we'll need an Axios, import Axios, right? We'll do a client so that we know that we are logged in, right? We'll remember that. So this is a client. We'll need these functions. So let's create these functions. And so this will be, export const. Oh. And create this. So we'll need this will have to be async. I'll give you the course ID and the section object. And I'll go out, I'll post it to /courses, course ID, sections, perfect. I'll return that. And then I'll also need the other one, right? Find this. And so this will be, export, find sections for course. I'll give you the course ID and you'll go fetch that for me, the sections, perfect. So then in the list, right, I'm going to have a list of sections. So this is a, const sections. I'll also need the course that I'm currently in. So I'll need to parse that. So import, use params, right? So the const course ID, right? I think that's what it's called, right? So this course ID right here, right? I'll need to import use state as well. Use state is not defined. Use state. Oh. Okay. Let me log in again. Let's see. Course section. Okay, section list. So yeah, this course ID. I think it's called course ID. That depends on how we called it here. So let's see. In Canvas, yeah, it's course ID. So I should be able to parse that out. Perfect. So back in sections, we have the course ID. And now I should be able to fetch the sections. So we say fetch sections for that course ID. And I think it's not called like that. What's it called? In the client, what do we call it? Well, we need to import it, right? So let's import the clients, and it's actually the client that is in the same directory, right? And it's called find section for course. Yeah, find section for course. There we go. Once we have the sections, we're going to populate the list. We're saying, sections. And we're going to call this unload. So use effect, we're going to call the sections. And so now we should be able to just render those sections, right? So render them as div, class name as list group. I'll just iterate over the sections, and as links, maybe we can navigate to a section. So link to Canvas course ID sections, and then the section ID. That looks right. And then the section name, link, close that and close the div. There we go. Now, at first, we're not going to have any sections, right? So we need to import use effect as well. Use effect. Yes, we don't have any sections. Notice that it's going out to fetch sections for this course. We don't have any sections, so it's not rendering anything. That's okay. Let's create a little form where we can create a section. And we are providing the name of the course of the section, right? So let's create a little element here where we can edit a section. So const section, set sections. It's an object that has a name. So let's put name here, name. And so we have a form here that can input, show the name of the section name, unchanged section name. Okay, perfect. Maybe we can style it a little bit. Class as form control, and then let's create a button that is going to create the section. Const add section, new section is going to go out, create section for course, set sections, and we're going to append it, right? There we go. So course ID, there we go, right? We have the course ID, and this one takes the course ID, right, and posts the new section to the server, creating it in the database, presumably. And we're just going to add it to our local array of sections, right, so we can render it. And we call this add section when we click on the button here, say button, on click, add section, add button. There we go. We have add. Excellent. Let's see what else. This is courses. Why is this rendering like that? So this courses. Maybe we want to put around a container. Yeah, there we go. All right, so let's create a section. So this is section 01. Add. Okay, did that work? I'm not sure. Let's see, sections. So it looks like it created it. Let's create another section 02. Now, if I refresh, okay, it is retrieving it from the database. So we should go to the database and make sure we have a sections. Let's refresh. Let's see if we have sections. There we go, sections. And indeed, we have sections for that particular course. Right. Notice that if I go to another course, this one, and I go to sections, there are no sections for this course, right? If I say, section A, right, and section B, right, and if I refresh, this is only for this course, right? If I go to another course and I go to sections, I have a different set of sections. See that? All right, excellent. So yeah. So now we want folks to enroll, right? For instance, I might be a student and I want to enroll in a section. And now the only way that I can go to a course right now is if I'm the author, right? If I'm the author. But what if I'm a student? If I'm a student, I'm not the author, I want to enroll. And so I want to enroll into your course, but I'm not the author. The only way for me to is that if I navigate to a section, then I want to enroll in that section. But then I would be the author enrolling in my own section. That makes no sense, right? So somebody should be able to navigate to the section, even if they're not the author, right? So how would we do that? I guess we would need a way that we can see all the courses. And even if I'm not logged in, and I can navigate to any course and enroll in that course, right? So log in as Bob, say, right? And enroll in any course. So yeah, let's do that, right? Let's create maybe a section here called enrollment, right? Where anybody can just go and list all the courses and then display the list of sections for that courses and then enroll, right? So let's do that. So let's and so let's see. So instead of a dashboard, because the dashboard right now is just displaying all the courses, right? Displaying all the courses. So how about I expand the dashboard to also display all the courses? How's that? Yeah, that's going to do. So I'm gonna have a top that says the courses that I'm an author, but then below I'm just going to display all the courses, right? So that even if I'm Alice, I can enroll in Bob's course, right? And Bob can enroll in Alice's course. Yeah, let's do that. That's better. Yeah, so let's go to dashboard. Dashboard is right now only displaying the courses for which I'm an author, right? So yeah, so this is displaying courses, blah, 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 blah. So yeah, so these are input, blah, blah, published course. So I'll say my courses. We go to dashboard. These are my courses. So down below, I'll list all the courses, right? So that Alice could navigate maybe to Bob's courses, right? So let's do that. So probably on the server, we'll need to be able to retrieve all the courses, right? So let's see. In the courses, the DAO, we want to be able to retrieve all the courses, right? So it says maybe something like export cons find all courses. Yeah. And then the route, there's a get API. So these would be all the courses, right? So, oh, okay. So API courses only retrieves the ones that for which you are the author, but we want one that retrieves all the courses, regardless of who the author is. All right, so I'm gonna have to break rest a little bit. So let's say app.get, right? And this is course says, right? Also get, but this is gonna say all. I'm gonna say all the courses, all. Right. So if you use another ID other than all, then I'll retrieve that course. But if you say all, I'm gonna retrieve all of them. So this is cons courses, final courses. I'm just going to retrieve all the courses. There we go. All right, so let's go back to the client of this, right? And it's courses clients, so fetch courses. So these would be really fetch my courses, right? That'd be a better name. So let's call that. So fetch my courses. Fetch my courses. And I'll call this my courses. Oops. That, right? And that's what we're going to call here, fetch my courses. Perfect. Now I want to fetch all the courses too, right? So let's do that. Let's implement. So this is almost identical, right? So fetch all courses is this is /courses all, right? And here we're going to fetch that. We're going to say, let's copy this. These are my courses, and we'll have a fetch all courses. So all courses, all courses, all courses, and these are set courses. This is really my courses, but I'll say, all courses, set all courses. And so this will be set all courses, right? And here we're going to do the load here. So fetch all courses. And we're going to render them down here. I guess we could copy this, right? Row, blah, blah, blah. Add. So let's copy this. And this would be, H3, all courses. Right, and but here, the one you iterate over is all courses, so all courses. Okay. All right, let's see, did the server just crashed? Maybe. Let's see, refresh. So if I sign in, it's Alice, right? And then goes to my course. See, here are all the courses, including mine plus Bob's. See that? So this is Bob's course. That's not my course, right? My courses are these three, which are these first three, and this is Bob's course. So if I go to Bob's course and I go to sections, so Bob hasn't created any sections yet for his course, right? So I can't enroll in his because he hasn't created any. So let me log in as Bob. And if I go to my course and I go to sections, I have no sections. So I'm going to create section AA, right? And section BB. So if I log in as Alice and I go to his course, I can see that he had created section A and B. So I could now logged in as Alice, I can enroll in Bob's course, section A. Make sense? So how do we do that? So I can navigate there, which I don't have anything there, right? So I can go to like a section where I should be able to see everybody who's enrolled in this section, plus a button that would allow me to enroll in that section, right? So for that, we would need to capture, right, who's enrolled in what section, right? So that's a many-to-many relationship, right? Users enrolled in sections, right? So let's do that. We need to capture that in the server, right? We'll create here a new folder. So we'll call it enrollments. And so we'll have, we'll have a schema that is going to have a relationship between users, right, and sections. Right? So we'll do, const mongoose. I'm sorry, import mongoose, and we'll const schema. So this is the enrollment. So the enrollment doesn't have a name, right? It just has relationships between users and the sections that they're enrolled in, right? So this will be user, right? I guess student. If you're enrolled, you must be a student, but you're just a user, right? You're of type user, right? And then we have the section, object for sections, perfect. Yep. And that's it. Grade, I guess so, right? Whether you get an A or not, you do get a grade as part of your enrollment. Yeah, let's do a grade. That's good. And so let's collection is enrollments, close that, and export the schema. Perfect, right? Then we'll need the model that goes along with this. So this is model. So we'll import mongoose. We'll import the schema, collect the model for enrollments, and done. Right now we have the DAO. So DAO, what kind of things we want to do with the enrollments? We want to create an enrollment, right? We want to enroll in a course, in a section. So let's import the model. It's the model, right? And so we want to, export const enroll students in section, right? So I provide the section, right? And the section, which is the ID, and the student, which is also an ID, right? And so model create section is an ID. It's not an object. And let's see. That's it, right? Okay. So enrollment, I want to enroll this student in that section, right? So this creates a relationship between the two. I also want to maybe unenroll, right? Maybe export cons unenroll student from section, which is just to delete the relationship. I also want to find the sections for a student. So if I'm a student, I want to see if I am a student, I like to see all the sections that I'm enrolled in, right? So giving the student, I will give it the section, and vice versa, right? If export cons find students for section, so given the section, I want these students, right? Get find students for section. Yeah, which is what we're going to use to populate this. Right, when we navigate to a section, I'm going to go and fetch all the people that are enrolled in this section. Okay. What else? I think that's it, right? So now we need to export this as a web API so we can integrate it from the user interface. So routes. And so this will be import star as DAO from DAO, and we'll do function enrollment routes app, right? And then we're just going to recreate these functions, right? So all the enroll user in section. So this will be that will be async, right? We'll parse the student and the section from the parameters. We'll create a new enrollment, right? DAO enroll student, blah, blah, blah. Perfect. Yeah. We'll do it on enrollment later. So we'll do find section. Well, actually, let's do this one. Find students for section. So we parse in the section ID. We retrieve the student, right, for the section, and we retrieve it. Perfect, right? And so let's create the routes. So this would be app dot post. So section blah blah and students. I'll give you the student ID, and you enroll the student. Perfect, excellent. That's very restful. And then I want to retrieve, given the section, what are the students? Perfect, excellent. So we have those two, and we're going to export this, and then in app.js we're going to add this brand new route. So so import enrollment routes, and then provide the app. Perfect. We're done in the server. Let's go back to the client. So in the client side, we had navigated to the sections, right? So we are looking the sections for that, but there's nothing there, right? So we need to list these sections. We also need to be able to create these sections, right? And this will list all the students that are enrolled in this section, plus it'll allow me to enroll in that section as well, right? So in the sections, do we have a sections directory, sign in, courses, Canvas account, courses? Oh, wait, deal with courses. All right, there we go. Courses. So, all right, so here's a list of the sections. And so now I want to, in the sections, I want to see enrollments, right? Maybe it could be its own directory, but I'll just keep it inside of sections, right? So we'll say maybe enrollments. So this could be function enrollments, and we'll do export default enrollments, and so we're going to display that, right, when you navigate giving a particular section, right? So if it's sections, right, this over here, blah 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 sections, and then the ID of the section, right? So sections slash the section ID, section ID. So that will display the enrollments. Okay, there it is. So this is our enrollments. And the enrollments are going to allow me to create an enrollment, right? So first, I'm going to parse out the enrollment, the section ID where I'm in. So I'm going to say const section ID, use params. We'll need to import that. I'm going to have a button that will cause the enrollments. So I'll need a client. So I need a client to talk to these enrollments, right? All these enrollments. Yeah, so I guess it would have been a better design would have been to have an entire directory for this, right? Yeah, let's do that. Let's do it right. But instead of here enrollments, I'll create a whole directory for this. So we'll say folder enrollments, right? And this will have a list of enrollments. So lists of enrollment, which is basically this content. So I'm just going to move this here. Yes, and actually, I'm just going to rename this. No, I'm going to remove that and rename this as list. Yes, and let's make sure that this section, blah, 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 this is enrollments. Okay, yeah. And this is inside of a list. Perfect. So this is the list of enrollments, right? Okay, which I'm going to need a client, right? I'm going to need a client to talk to the server with all these endpoints, right, that I created here, right? So let's create these. So we'll need Axios first, import Axios, and we'll need create a client that has API, create a credential, perfect. And so it's this, right? So export that in your enrolled student section. I'm going to provide the section ID, right? Anything else I need to provide? Okay. This one also providing the section ID. I mean, the student. Should I be able to? Do I need to provide the student ID? That's the person who's enrolling, but wouldn't be always the person who's logged in who's enrolling, right? So do I need to pass the student ID? I guess not, no? It's always the person who's logged in who's enrolling. So enrolled student in the section. So this student ID is really the current user who's logged in, really, right? So this would be, I'll grab it from the session, from the current user, and then the _ID, right? That is the person who is enrolling. So if I'm Alice and I'm enrolling in a course from Bob, I'm logged in as Alice. And so I can enroll in Bob. So that would be the ID of the student. So Alice is now a student. That makes sense? Yeah, okay. So yeah, so I'm gonna sections, blah, 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 enroll. So section. So then this is a better name for this would be enrollments. Yeah, that's a better name. So I'm creating enrollments, or I'm retrieving the enrollments for that section, right? Yeah, perfect. Let's go back here. So this would be enrollments. So section, blah, blah, blah. So this is going out to this, right? API, section ID, enrollments. API, section ID, enrollments. Perfect. So that's creating it. The other one that I need is retrieving the enrollments, right? So that would be export, find students for section. I'll give you the section ID, and you'll go out to section ID, enrollments. So API section ID, enrollments. Perfect. So then in the list of enrollments, I'll need just a button to enroll. That's all I need, right? So this will be const enroll. All right, so this is async is going to bring in the clients. So this is a import star as clients from clients. And I think it's the same client here, right? This enroll student in section, right? So enroll is going to call client enroll student in section. I'm passing the section ID, perfect. And then I need a list of all of these enrollments, right? So this is const enrollments, right? And I'll need to import that. The enrollments, use state, right? Use state. And so I'll just append the, so this will be the enrollment, you know, const enrollment, and I'll just add it appended, right? Actually, I want to append it to the end. I think this makes more sense. And then I'm done, right? And I'm going to enroll when I click on the button to enroll. So button, enroll, blah, 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 success, enroll. There we go. Resolve enrollment section enrollments, module not found, module not found. Can't resolve sections enrollments, section enrollments. Huh? There we go. So I should be able to enroll now, right? So let's see if I click on enroll. Okay, error. Okay, I think I'm not logged in, so maybe that's why it might have failed. So let me log in first. Canvas, probably the server crashed, right? And okay, dashboard. Okay, let me sign in as Alice. All right, sign in. I'll go to Bob's course sections, section A, and then enroll. Okay, so here's the enrollments. Went out, presumably student blah, blah, blah is enrolled in this section. Let's see if that's true in the database. So let's refresh this. So these are enrollments, right? It says that presumably Alice is enrolled in whatever section, right? And okay, but we're not rendering it, right? We should render it in the enrollments here. We should iterate over all the enrollments. So this would be list group. Does it have last group? I mean, this is not going to navigate anywhere, right? So it probably doesn't have to be a list group. Yeah, I guess enrollment, blah, blah, blah. Div cloud list group item, and enrollment student username. Okay. And that, I think, let's see. So the enrollments comes back. Oh, they're not populated. See that? They're not populated. So we should populate when we retrieve. We can retrieve the student that is enrolled, right? So we can do that. So find students. So find students for section. Find student for section. Oh, it is. Why didn't it populate? Oh, maybe exactly. So let's try it again. Now I restart the server, so I need to sign in again, right? So, so Alice. Wait a minute. I can't enroll again, right? I can't enroll again. So instead, I'm going to fetch the enrollments. So I'm going to section A. I'm going to fetch these sections. So in here, enrollments. So these are enrollments, use state. So I'm going to populate them. I'm going to say cons fetch enrollments. Yep. So client, find, blah, 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 blah. Yep. Enrollments. Excellent. And in use effect, I'm going to call fetch enrollments. Excellent. And we need use effect here. So use effects. There it is. So Alice is enrolled in that section. Perfect, right? So if I sign in as someone else, let's see, who else can I sign in as? So users. So even star, Ardawan. And let's sign as her, sign in. I can also go to Bob's, right, in section A. So Alice is already enrolled, and I am going to enroll. I'm going to refresh. there's event star. See that? So this from the point of view of the user. The user has enrolled in these sections for those courses, right? I should be able to go from the user's point of view, right? And the user should be able to see what courses am I, or which sections am I enrolled in. So this is from the point of view of the course, what students are enrolled in which sections. But from the point of view of the student, also would want to see, well, which sections am I enrolled in, right? We could talk about that maybe on Monday, right? Okay, yeah, so that's all I have for you. I wanted to give you some examples on what we mean by things being one-to-many, or being many-to-many, right? So, but those are common topics that you would cover maybe in a database course, right? Not necessarily here. Like data modeling and relationships and associations and whatnot, right? And all the issues of redundancy and foreign keys and primary key and joining things, right? But that's material for another course. All right, that's all I have for you. Any questions?
Professor, do you have time for a homework question, or is it better to come to office hours tomorrow morning?
All right, I'll stay on for a little bit, but yeah, I would prefer in the morning, but go ahead.
Okay. Let me just share my screen then.